Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me. Yeah, I had to reset up my streaming software, so things are a little bit funny. Yesterday I tried to do a survival stream, and the stream cut out after 5 minutes. So I hope that doesn't happen again. I'm trying to keep an eye on it, but I honestly have no idea what went wrong yesterday. So hopefully it doesn't happen again today. Anyway, I also got a new stream layout. It's beautiful. It is the most beautiful thing. I love the fancy animations and the cool wolves and the kind of nature theme and stuff. Very cool. Anyway, yeah. Let's I don't know. I don't have a lot to do today. I figured today might be kind of another kind of chores day. There are some things that I have been kind of putting off that need to get completed today. So I thought we might tackle some of that, and of course do our normal wander around the server and point at things and be like, that's cool, you know, the usual, right? Yeah, the first thing I wanted to do, we're starting out here in the schematic world. So this is a world, a separate dimension, sort of like the nether or the end, for like a survival world. But in this case, it's just a flat world where we keep all of the schematics that we use for various trees and whatnot. I've shown this a few times before, but kind of fun to wander around to see all the different kinds of trees. This tree looks like it got blown up or something. Don't know what's going on there. Thankfully, most of these are saved as schematics, so this is really more of a reference thing. At some point, I'd like to build kind of a museum, like a schematic museum, that has all of these schematics in it and labeled so that people can... so it's easier for our team to find the different trees and stuff that they want. This world has a lot of weird stuff in it, like... this was our old schematic holding area that was located directly below the city of Ilias. As you can see, it got kind of filled up rather quickly, and we ran out of space, so that's when we decided that it'd probably be best to try and make a dedicated world for it. But we do have some cute little boats and a book, some arches, I guess, a tower, a church, another church, some pieces of, I think it was like maybe like dorms or something. I vaguely remember that being the case. But yeah, also some floor patterns, looks like. But yeah, the schematic world has gotten kind of filled in with all sorts of very interesting plants and stuff, as well as some structures. Richard built this. I don't remember exactly what any of this stuff was supposed to be, but it is pretty cool. Like a crazy graveyard in here. Let's see. It looks like my stream is still going, and we're past the 5-minute mark, so that's good. Let's see. We've also got some mushrooms here. I believe Puffer put these together fairly recently. These are really cute. They're called death caps, which are a real kind of mushroom, but I'm pretty sure they don't look like this. I think real world death caps are kind of... They look like the brown mushrooms, actually, I think. I don't have a lot of experience with mushrooms. This is interesting. It wasn't here the last time I was here, so... oh, there's a lot of stuff back here. Fun. Richard's been busy, I suppose. Wow. That's a lot of buildings. Yeah, very cool stuff. These are some buildings that Richard was putting together for a desert area. And unfortunately, we don't really have any true deserts on the map right now. There are plans to add some in the future, but currently no deserts. So these are just hanging out here until we build a desert. But yeah, let's go take a look at some of the more relevant schematics for today. Lots of trees and stuff. The ones I really wanted to take a look at are over here. So, this is pretty cool. We actually have a sponsor today, which is super exciting. I'm over the moon. But this was also, yeah, it was something that came up that was really a really cool opportunity. So there is a build group called Rebirth Builds, and if anybody from Rebirth Builds is watching this and I say something incorrect about your group, please do let me know, and I'll do my best to correct it. But my understanding is that they put together a schematic pack of custom flowers and mushrooms and stuff that can be used in projects like this. This pack is actually for sale. You can buy it. It has over 500 different assets, which is just an incredible number of schematics. You get a lot of mileage out of that. So there is a link down in the description of the stream, at least on the YouTube side. I don't know if I have anything on the Twitch side. Maybe I could put it in the chat or something. But if anyone's interested, yeah, it's a great pack. So these schematics are from that pack. These are, I believe they're a plant called a monstera, or monstra. I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't know a lot about plants, but they're cool. They're these cool plants that have like these really big green leaves that have little holes in the leaves themselves, which I thought was something that doesn't really get well represented in Minecraft very often. You can see there's some different variations in various sizes, all the way up to these really huge ones. Really cool stuff. We've actually added a couple of these to the actual world, and we'll go visit those in a second. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with this schematic pack and making good use of all these flowers and plants because they are absolutely gorgeous. The team who has put these together has done an excellent job. These are honestly far nicer than most of the schematics that I build, so there's that. This is also from the same pack. This is, I don't think there are any particular names given for a lot of these because the schematics came as one big schematic with all the assets. So I don't know if any of these have individual names. If they do, or if they represent real plants, I'd love to hear about it because I love learning new stuff. But I'm going to be giving these plants little names so that I can remember what they are. And if you've ever heard me name anything, it gets weird really quickly. I like weird names. It's a thing. These I forgot what I called these. These are Gerallas. There's a few variations of this. So one of the chore things that I thought we'd do today, because the schematics were sent to me in a big block, I need to separate them out into the individual schematic pieces for each of the individual flowers, so that they're easier to populate into our world. So that's going to require me to kind of go back and forth, copying and pasting schematics from the world file I was given over into this schematic world, where they can be more easily accessed, and then naming them and making sure that they're all set up to be placed. It's a lengthy process. It takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, but it is it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that once we start getting these plants populated into the world, oh man, that is where things are really going to get exciting. But yeah, anyway, let's hop back into the regular world, into the actual project server, and we'll explore a little bit of some of the new stuff. It's been a little while since I've done a stream like this, so it's good to get back into it. Let's see. Let's go to this world. Boop. Nice. Hit the hub button. Okay, so new things. Let's see. Don't think there's anything there. Hexland's got some new stuff. Let's start in Whalestone. I don't remember the last time we really spent a lot of time in Whalestone, but there's a few newish things that we thought we'd take a look at. So this is all mostly the same. Very beautiful. I love this town. It is just, I don't know. The way it came together was so organic. There's still some bits and pieces that need to be finished, but we have made really good progress, and I think that myself and the team are getting a little bit burnt out working all in the same place. So it's good sometimes to break off and do some other stuff. But I believe some of this might be new, depending on what you've watched recently of our content. What is that? I'm not sure what's going on there. But yeah, we've got some big factory buildings back here that Puffer has put together. They've got this really cool scaffolding design with fences and hanging signs and stuff that I thought was really great. It's one of my favorite parts of it. And then also kind of this little, I don't know, like a scrapyard area. This kind of pseudo barbed wire. There's a guard dog. His name is Guard Dog. Yeah, lots of crates and barrels and chests and things, gears, pipes. It's very industrial and kind of steampunky in a way that I don't build this way, so this is something kind of different and interesting. Yeah, some ink crystals in there. And then next door, Lego has been building this gigantic factory, which I believe is building like little copper golems. Not the ones that were possibly part of Minecraft, but bigger copper golems. So this is a factory that builds those. So you can see starting over here, we've got a furnace array with copper being smelted down into its liquid molten form and then being poured into these molds. This is like such a smart idea. I love with the molds and everything because then they pop out and this is what they look like, right? And that looks just like, it's the same shape as the mold. I thought that was really cool. They get lifted up. You can see here some heads. They get lifted up onto this little conveyor belt with chains and whatnot. And they travel over to here. It's a little bit dark. Let me see if I can... Okay, this is a little better. I forgot about the particles, but it's alright. We've got this little mechanical arm that puts a redstone lamp into the chest of these. And then they get placed onto this conveyor belt and wheeled over this way. There's another little mechanical arm with a redstone block that turns the lamp on, which is such a fun, I don't know, it's a really fun concept. Here's a finished golem who's helping by moving boxes. It's just such a nice design with the redstone lamp and all the copper and then the custom player head and stuff. You can see there's more stuff. This is there's a little tube on his back, a little pipe, maybe an exhaust port or something that gets placed on there. The head gets attached. You see they get picked up by the little chains again. Moved over here, the arms get attached, the hands get attached, the feet get attached, and then you've got all your golems, your finished golems, hanging out over here, waiting for their orders. I think that's just, I don't know, that's just it's a really fun story build. You know, it's something where it's a building that tells a story, and I think that those are somewhat rare. I think that we do our best to include stuff like this, but this is a really great example of that, and it was something I wanted to highlight. I really like that. Let's see. Out here we've got a couple more buildings. This is a jam factory that Bart built. I can turn off the night vision. This one's not as dark. This is Auntie Amber's Jams and Jellies. I think I've shown this one on stream before, but I keep coming back here because it's really fun. We've got apples. There's a machine that mashes pumpkins. And then if you fly up, you can see it gets turned into jam. There's a whole assembly line process for this too. Very fun. Let's see. We've got our pie restaurant. I think probably fueled by the jam factory. And we have this apple-shaped house, also a lot of fun. Richard put this one together. It's got the worm of wisdom up there. You can tell he's wise because he has a beard. Everyone knows that beards make you wise. If you didn't know that, now you do. You're welcome. Let's see. What else is in Whalestone? Puffer has been working over here on a different kind of... less of a factory, I think, and more of like a research facility. So this is pretty cool. I don't know if there's much in the interior. I haven't checked. Oh, there is. There's an interior now. This is new. Oh, I like this. All sorts of redstone components and stuff. Bits and bobs. That's cool. Some shelves and whatnot. Big old furnace. Oh yeah, look, this guy, it's like a mad scientist lab. Look at this big glowy green test tube sort of thing. I wonder what that is supposed to be. It's a little bit ominous. Over here we've got some loading bays, it looks like, for loading things in from the river. And a few other rooms that looks like we haven't filled up yet. See if I can figure out how to get out of here. I believe there's a door over here. Yes. And then, of course, you know, a research facility and a factory is no good if you don't have the people who work at the factory. So they've got their little, I don't know, community, I guess you'd call it. Little community over here. Very cute. These are very small details, and I think that they really kind of bring things together. You know, the big builds are fun, but sometimes it's these little builds that just makes the place feel lived in. You know, it makes it feel like a real place with real people. I picked the only two houses that don't have interiors, but I promise that most of these do, and they're pretty spectacular. I think the ones over here. Yeah, look at this. Little blacksmith and stuff. Very cute. Yeah, I really like what people are doing around here. Whalestone is looking really gorgeous right here on the edge of this lake. And I think that people have been doing a really good job, in particular lately, putting everything together in a way that it fits, that everything kind of plays off of everything else. I like that the builds that we're creating fit into the landscape instead of kind of sitting on top of it. So that's a problem that we've had in the past, where the landscape wasn't built very well, and we, you know, weren't as good at building as we are now. And we'd have builds that they just didn't mesh, they didn't blend, you know, and these really do. Look at how well this kind of just sinks in. You can see that there's, you know, there's even like some dead coral and stuff in the wall here. And I think it's just the little things, you know, this canal here feels kind of gross and sludgy. That's kind of, I think that's what we're going for, though. Got pipes and water wheels and whatnot. It's like a little sewer pipe. There's a little sewer pipe up here as well. I don't think that's it. I think there's another one up further. Yeah. Just cute little stuff like that, you know, like, makes it feel more real. So I think that's really cool. Let's see. Let's take a trip over to Hexlin. We'll go visit there. I think it might be fun. I wonder if there's a... Well, we'll just walk. It's fine. I'm going to fly a little bit just because the soul sand that is in the ground here makes it kind of difficult to walk. I hope I can find my way to Hexlin. I'm pretty sure I know the way, but also I could be wrong. But I thought we'd also take this opportunity to look a little bit at the jungle. Because I haven't really... You know, I look at the jungle a lot, and I comment about how pretty it is, but I don't really talk too much about how it's constructed. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about that. So primarily, this jungle is constructed from schematics. So when I create, when I work on the map with World Painter, it allows me to populate schematics. So there's a whole lot of different ones in here. You know, we have our base ground terrain of kind of this mixture of mud and soul sand, soul soil, dripstone, that kind of thing. And then on top of that, we've got trees. So we have these little kind of palm tree looking, these are called cycads. They're a very old species of tree, kind of predate a lot of the existing trees we have these days. These are kind of a variation of a Brazil nut, just sort of a jungly tree. They've got kind of a wide base and then a tall, skinny stem with leaves that form a canopy up there at the top. And another thing that I've been kind of trying to do with this is make it somewhat realistic. And one of the parts of that is this idea that jungles have multiple layers within them. There's like the layer that's on the ground, right? There's the ground layer where doesn't get a lot of sunlight usually. It's usually fairly dark. And yeah, it's so we've got like the jungle floor layer. Above that, we have kind of a first canopy layer with these sort of shortish trees. So I imagine that, you know, if you had animals, you know, monkeys and I don't know what else lives in the jungle. Flying squirrels, that sort of thing. Frogs, I don't know. I don't actually know that much about jungles. But they could, you know, move pretty easily, jumping from, you know, tree to tree. This vegetation is fairly dense. And this gets some sunlight. You can see that sometimes sun peeks down through the gaps in the trees. But it doesn't get as much sunlight. And then you have the top canopy, the high canopy, way up here. And if we come up here, you can see that this almost looks like an entirely different landscape. You know, it's like a sea of leaves. And there are animals that live up in this part too. You know, that kind of jump from branch to branch and make nests in the leaves and all that good stuff. And I think that just acknowledging that there are different layers and building the schematics in layers has kind of created just sort of a really dense, you know, I don't know, jungly feel to it, I guess. I'm not good with words. But anyway, I just thought it was kind of interesting. There's a lot of schematics here. It doesn't really seem like it because you mainly notice like the big trees, but I would say in terms of unique schematics, not counting like different variations of the same kind of tree, it's probably about 20 or 30 in here because we've got like little trees, little ground-filled trees. We have a few different species of small ground-filled trees. We have little palm trees. We have the cycads. And then we also have a few other schematics like these are, I think I call these pyre blooms, but they're just kind of weird flowers with melon stems. There are also a few of these, I'm calling these deep slate ruins, but basically it's just, the schematic is just a collection of deep slate blocks and some cobwebs and moss stairs and stuff. Not stairs, carpets. And so every once in a while you find like a little piece of what looks like, hey, that could be that could have been a building one day, right? And I think that finding little bits of that lost in this dense jungle, overgrown and overtaken, is just, it's a really fun feeling. But yeah, this jungle is also extremely easy to get lost in. If you stray even a few blocks from the path, you know, like, tell me which way the road is, right? It's definitely challenging. And because of that, that's why I worked really hard to make sure that we added the roads in, the major roads anyway, by hand, and that we left open clearings for where the cities would be, so that we don't have to, you know, delete all these trees by hand in order to build a town. That seemed a little bit... didn't seem like a lot of fun. You see the jungle opens up in some places. We've got kind of a jungle edge with some of the shorter trees, you know, kind of more sparsely placed. In higher areas, we even get some grass and some moss. And I think it all just comes together to form a really dynamic landscape. You know, this is these areas are ones where I feel like I could wander around and just stare at stuff for probably for like days or hours at least, without really running out of things to see. There's just a lot. We also have these nice little waterways. These all connect in. There's a river system. This is the Alstein River. This isn't in particular. This is just a creek, but the big river over there is the Alstein. Here we've got a big clearing. So you can see this is what the base terrain looks like. It's a mixture of mud and stuff and then some grassy bits. And this is where we're going to build another town at some point. I don't know when, and I don't know exactly what the town's going to look like, but that's the location where we would put a town. We kind of fill it in with buildings. You can see we've got some, you know, the main roads laid out. We may end up replacing those like we did in Waildstone with, you know, more cobbled streets. But yeah, it's pretty easy to identify, you know, this is where town goes. And it's kind of fun. Alright, let's continue on our journey to try and find our way to Hexlin. At some point, I may need to check my... In fact, I'm actually going to do that really quick. Check my map to make sure that I'm I'm going in the right direction. Okay, so we gotta go a little bit further. Let's go over this way. This right here, this big river, this is the Alstein River again. It's a good size one. I feel like that's one of the things that Minecraft struggles with a little bit, is realistic, like, water, like realistic bodies of water, just because lakes and oceans and stuff are a lot bigger than normal people realize, I think. Like a lake in Minecraft might be like, you know, just what I can see in my render distance here, which is, it looks big, right? I mean, this is a lot of water, but in comparison to like an actual real world lake, honestly, this is like more of a pond. So everything in Minecraft kind of gets squished in terms of its dimensions a little bit. Oceans in Minecraft are definitely nowhere near the size of real world oceans, but it's also a video game, so you know, you work with the limitations of the tools you have available to you. But I do think that this is like kind of a nice. What's going on with this little diamond bridge? This might not be a super realistic river size, but it's more realistic. It's closer, and that's kind of fun. It's just really nice, and this is big enough that we could build a boat in it, which is really I think the biggest thing. If we wanted to build a boat that was kind of docked along the side, we could do so. All right, gotta head this way a little bit, back into the jungle. But yeah, I'm so excited for like the future of this project, where we could take this journey, you know, this journey that we're doing right now between Waildstone and Hexland, and just to have things along the way, like right here. I could see there being like a little inn, maybe with a stable and like some little fields and gardens and stuff. You know, right here at the, you know, this corner with the bridge and everything, maybe even connected to the bridge. I don't know. I just I think it'll be really cool. It's gonna take some time to you know, to implement. But hey, that's what these streams are for. Getting stuff done, little bits at a time. This is really nice. Although, yeah, every time I make this trip, I run into little things. Like, this could be a little bit improved. We could take some of these down a little bit. Kind of like this. But that's kind of one of the nice things, is that, like, we can go through and fix these things and make adjustments. And yeah, now that we've adjusted that and made it look a little bit nicer, now it's going to be that way forever. Because there is a lot of this that's going to require a little bit of fine-tuning. Just because, you know, a lot of this was done kind of automatically with the schematics, and the real talk is that if you want something done right, it's best to do it by hand. But sometimes you don't have the time to do everything by hand, and sometimes this is you know, an agreeable compromise. So we compromise a little bit in order to get to where we want to be, and yeah, it's just a matter of balancing that and understanding how much we're willing to compromise, and you know, what things we you know, really want to be one particular way and not another. If that makes sense. But yeah, making our way down through here. Believe we can just go this way, and then this is a little bit of a shortcut. I have done this trip several times now, so I'm fairly familiar, you know. Oh, we have a chat. Hello. How's it going, 7846? That's an interesting username. The letter M is a good letter. Top 10 letters, in my opinion. It's used in very important words like Minecraft. It's a really important one. Without it, I don't think either of us would be here. So, or at least the stream wouldn't be, I guess. Let's see. Got around this corner. Basically, we're gonna follow this path until we run into a river, and then we're gonna go north. north on the river is this way. Follow the road, though, just to be proper. Technically, we could visit all these places, you know, traveling as the crow flies, but what's the fun in that? We've got these roads, we should use them. I'm starting to sound like my parents. Alright. We are getting pretty close, I believe. Lots of bridges to build over here. Oh, you know what? I see a tower. We have arrived. Hooray! So this is... I don't know if this building in particular has a name, but this is the headquarters of kind of a governing body for wizards in this fantasy world called the Conclave Arcana. So they've got this magnificent tower that Richard has built here in Hexlin. And the idea behind this this whole town, just to kind of explain it a little bit, this is a town that's built kind of around a lake. The special part of this town is that in the lore, it's built on top of the intersection of 3 ley lines. So in mythology, ley lines are like, they're like invisible, intangible lines of magical power that kind of crisscross the world. And in particular, I think that, you know, kind of the mythology, this is like the real world too. People talk about this, or did at one point. The intersection of 2 ley lines was considered auspicious, you know, a special occasion. And those points were important for doing magic and alchemy and all those other kinds of things that we eventually kind of found out are not quite as real as we would like, but that was the belief back in the day, and it's kind of seeped into a lot of, you know, kind of medieval fantasy. So this place is built on, this lake right here is built on top of, or exists on top of 3 ley lines, which makes it an excellent location for magical research, which is why Hexlin is a town full of wizards. I've explicitly referred to as the town of 10,000 wizards. I don't know if there are actually 10,000 wizards here. There are a lot, though. And so my guidelines for people when building here were just to build wizard towers, which I think worked out pretty well, because these are some pretty excellent wizard towers. Very wizardy. Much tower. Wow. But yeah, here's one of the new schematics. Look at this. I placed this in yesterday. Isn't that cool? It blends in, I feel like, pretty well with the existing foliage, but it adds something a little bit extra, you know? It doesn't have the woody stem that a lot of the trees have, and I think that, I don't know, it adds a nice texture to the world, though. Here's another one. This is a slightly larger version with some glass. But yeah, I think that the plan is kind of to get all the schematics sorted out, and then start populating them around parts of like the jungle and stuff, and also other areas. But I think in particular, the size of these schematics, given that they're, you know, this is way larger than a real Monstera plant, I believe anyway. So, you know, it feels kind of more of like a wild and untamed growth sort of thing. I'm not sure what this is. Has to do with wizards, I would assume. It makes kind of scary noises when I stand inside it. There's glass in here, and crying obsidian and skulk. So, yeah, no idea. But it's pretty cool, I guess. Over here, Puffer has built a wizard tower. I like this one a lot. It's got this cool sandstone coloration to it, and Puffer does, like, these really cool banners. He does a lot of cool stuff with banners and, like, fine-tuned decorations with, like, player heads and stuff. I don't know if this has an interior, but it might. There's a frog. Hello, frog. I don't actually know how you get in this building. Does it have a door? Huh. I'll have to ask him about that. I'm not sure how you're intended to get inside. Or maybe you're not. Maybe that's one of the fun things about the tower, is that you can't go in. Or you have to, you know, teleport in or something. I don't know. Let's see if there's anything up here. Oh yeah, there is interior. Look at this. Little study. Oh, there's a button. What does the button do? Whoop. What? Oh. Oh, it's a teleport button. I see. That's cool. Wait, how do I get down? I think I have to go this way. Maybe I can find my way down. Stairs. Here's this little balcony. Oh, here's the door. Well, we're still kind of high up, though. I'm not entirely sure. I may have to get Puffer to explain it to me at some point. I'm not the smartest knife in the drawer. The cookie in the box. I don't know. Here's some more plants. Surprisingly, none of these plants are actually from the big schematic pack. It just happened, completely by chance, that we were building some crazy plants for this kind of botanical garden around the same time that Rebirth reached out about the schematic pack. So it's serendipitous. But some of these plants are fun. These are all little ones that we built. They're not the greatest. Like, I built these little rafflesias that are, yeah, they're okay. I do like these a lot. Kind of weird roses, maybe? Something. Chorus plants, of course. The normal weird plants in terms of like pitcher plants and torch flowers. This is very cute. And then Bart has done this really cute floor pattern here, which is, yeah, I don't know. I like the mixture. I like the fact that it includes like dirt and stuff, so it doesn't feel like we've placed like a very delicate mosaic pattern, in the mud, because that would seem kind of strange. But I like that it kind of ties in a little bit, but also provides, yeah, it makes this feel like a town square, and I think that was kind of what she was going for. We've got a little, she's built her own compound of wizard towers over here for 4 witchy sisters, and this is where they sell their goods. Bee honey, farm fresh. You can get t-shirts. Cauldron of the day, magic teas, blueberry cake, potion of itching, skull special, 1 owner. Oh, I love it. These are silly. And then over here there's a little tavern. This is the Frog and Cauldron. And indeed there is a frog atop a little cauldron. Very nice. But yeah, lots of fun little details. Oh, this is another good thing. This is another one of the big schematics from the schematic pack. You'll recognize it maybe from the schematic world. And you can see it really fits in pretty well. I don't know. I think these flowers and mushrooms and stuff are really gonna just bring this whole area to life in an entirely different way. Add a lot of really unique visual interest. This is the 4 sisters compound. I believe the story is that they each have a tower. So this is like a druid sister. Over here we have, I think this is the warlock sister, ? I don't quite remember the lore behind all of these. It's been a little bit. I believe this is like I believe they're all based off of different like casting classes. So like we have the druid, we have the warlock. This is definitely the bard because she's got this really, really awesome water organ. I don't know how to get down to it. There is a way. Maybe you just go down through the water. I don't know if this is the way you're supposed to go. Oh, nope, can't get out that. I don't think this is the way I was supposed to go. Let's see if I can remember how to get in. Oh, I think this is it. Yep, here we go. But yeah, this is like a water organ. I don't know exactly how water organs work or if they're a real thing, but this is one of them. The Bard is built, and it's really beautiful. I love the lighting in here. Very, I don't know, kind of magical feeling. It's got a good vibe. And then the last sister, I believe, is... I believe she's like just a wizard. Just a regular wizard. I don't remember if this is her. I get confused between the wizard sister and... Oh, there's a cleric sister, too. Like a death cleric, I think, or something like that. This looks like the wizard sister tower. Lots of books. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's fun, you know. I swear I could write an entire book just about this one build in this one town, you know. And I think that's what makes all of this fun, is that we can do so many different things with you know, the things that people build. This is cool. This is new. Looks like kind of like a guard tower almost. Maybe like a bell tower. Not sure. Let's see. I've added a few more of the plant schematics over here. And there's another one up this direction. Somewhere. Oh, there it is. And they blend in fairly well. Like, if you're looking for them, you can find them, but I do like that they don't stand out. You know, it doesn't look noticeably like, oh, that's something different than everything else. And I think that's the mark of a well-made schematic. This is cool. I wonder what this is going to be. I would assume that this is Puffer up here because he's the one who built this, which is also awesome. Kind of a ruined tower with a tree growing up through it. Really, really pretty. And then he's got his little rolly cart tower over here. This is really fun. I like the interior of this the best. It's got this... First of all, it's like this cool kind of steampunk cart thing going on. And then if we go inside it, it's got this little thing, what do you call that? Nope, can't remember the name. It's a ramp. That's what it's called. I can remember words, I promise. But look at how much stuff is in here. Oh my goodness, there's skulls and armor stands and skulk sensors. Mine carts, there's ender eyes and invisible item frames. There's even leaf blocks in here. It's wild. There's lava, lots of books. I love the use of these book player heads and stuff. And then look at all these banners. So many banners. There's even a Tridents. Look at these. Just, I don't know. There's just such a wealth of detail in these builds. Puffer is he's a next level builder, let me tell you. Look at all this. It's so pretty in here. Very neat. Can actually get up and close and personal with the lava. I don't know why you'd want to. That seems like a bad idea, but you could if you so chose. So very neat stuff. Let's explore a little bit more and see what else we can find in Hexland. There are some other new things that I've heard tell about. It's a new little bridge heading up this way towards the sisters. It looks like this is also something I saw Bart post about. Oh, this is new. Oh, this is cute. It's like a little gazebo. With bamboo and stuff. That's very pretty. Huh. Leading to the bridge. This is a nice bridge too. I like this. I'm assuming also Bart's doing, because it looks very similar. And then this is the big library that Richard has built. I put another plant over here. I'm going to try to dot those around where I can. This library is gorgeous. It's got this really cool spiral staircase. And then I think we have to go up. I always get lost in these builds because they're so huge. Yeah, there's like some little gardens and stuff. Atrium with lots of trees and benches. I like that. And then over here is the actual library part. All the bookshelves and ladders, empty bookshelves, paintings. Really neat. And then the building itself is just, like, unbelievably detailed. Look at all this. Richard's doing some crazy stuff that that the rest of us are. I feel like we're constantly learning stuff. Like, look at this. What is that? That looks like a white lightning rod. How in the world do we have a white lightning rod? Well, it turns out that this is a regular lightning rod that has been hit with a debug stick, because it turns out that one of the states of a lightning rod is being struck by lightning, and they turn white. So you can make white lightning rods with a debug stick. Crazy, huh? I did not know that. Oh, this is funny. I think Bart has taken one of the little finial bits and used it. Yeah, she's used it as the roof of her little thing, and over here on the roof of her little bridge. It's kind of fun. I like it when people are working together on stuff. But yeah, this building is just nuts. Oh, Richard is so good at building. It is really inspiring. He also put this together. It's like a tree house. Looks like there's some plans for a spiral staircase of some sort. Very cool. I like this little kind of bridge staircase floating island thing too. MCX built this. This is another little tower. It's kind of a sandstone, and it's got this little bit that hangs off up here. Whoop! There's no interior yet, but we may get one of those eventually. I'm just gonna spectator out of here. Let's see, what else do we have in Excellent? Oh, here we go. I believe this was also Puffer who put this together. Not sure what it is. I'm not even sure if he knows what it is. But it's something. It's a tower. Got a lot of end rods. I would assume that eventually something is going to go on top of these. Maybe plants or trees or something. We could use some of the new schematics, maybe. Not quite sure, though. I'll have to ask him about it and see what he says. Oh, there's a sign. Incomplete white color palette ideas. Yeah. I think we actually did end up discussing that. Because I think that's how we ended up here. But, yeah, interesting to see how that fills in. Over here, we've got more Richard builds. This thing is really cool. I think this is going to be a school and a brewery. A brewery combo. I think this is the one. It might have been a different building he was talking about. But they don't get the kids drunk. But I believe that it's like a brewery built into it or something. I don't remember the exact story, but I remember it being very, like, a silly idea. Really just gorgeous design, though. I love the way it all fits together. This big circular window is fun. Feels very, I don't even know what it looks like. Kind of gothic, maybe. Maybe that's the word. I don't actually know much about architectural styles. I'm going to go with gothic. That sounds right. Got another bridge. It's a very red bridge. And then I think just a couple more little builds so far up this little river. Take a look at these. So this right here, this is a tooth. It's a big fang probably from the sea monster skeleton that we've got elsewhere on the map. And it has been brought over here and hollowed out, and now there's a bunch of kobolds, little tiny dragon critters who live in it. And you can see it's all propped up with like stilts, and there's lots of ladders and things. It's got a little flag. I like to think that this flag is like the symbol of the leader of the kobolds, who's probably like, maybe she's a dragon. I don't know. But they're kind of like her little butlers almost, maybe. All the doors on this are trapdoors because I like the idea that kobolds are little dudes, and so they don't need a full-size door. There isn't an interior yet, but maybe one day there will be. Yeah, the inside of the tooth is... Probably need to get rid of these. And the inside of the tooth is hollow, but we'll eventually put something inside there. And then next to this is another funky build. So MCX approached me about this, and I thought it was an interesting idea. So obviously it looks like a spaceship, right? It really does. But I wasn't really comfortable with aliens and spaceships and stuff being a part of this project because, you know, it's supposed to be kind of fantasy medieval, sort of Lord of the Rings style or D&D style. And I didn't feel like a rocket ship really fit in. But I do like this because we talked about it, and he came up with this idea that this particular building is run by a dwarf and an elf who are basically like snake oil salesmen. They're con men. And so they're here in Hexland trying to convince the wizards to buy their alien technology, when in reality it's probably just like random dwarven technology or just junk, right? They're selling junk and they're pretending, oh, we're aliens from outer space and we've got some, fancy stuff that you should buy. And I think that's about perfect, honestly. This building has got some really nice little details, despite being pretty small. I'm impressed a lot with how much MCX was able to fit into such a small space. Got a little space suit and everything. I think the things that they sell are these little, like, armor templates and whatnot. And then, of course, we have the little tiny dwarven bed. Which I don't know. That was kind of the tipping point for me. I like the tiny bed. It's very cute. Okay. But that's pretty much it in terms of new stuff. Not a ton of other new things, I don't think. It's been a little bit of a slow month. February was kind of a slow month. I've been really busy. Unfortunately, school has been keeping me pretty occupied. So I don't have as much time to do Minecraft stuff as I'd like. But I have been able to, make a few videos here and there. So I hope that people are enjoying what they see. And trying to get some more stuff out soon, so we will have to wait on that. Oh, also this crazy tower. I built this like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks. It's been a little while. No idea. It's just I got kind of bored, and I wanted to build something very kind of geometric and fractal, and this is what happened. So that's kind of a strange one. But, yeah. I'm trying to think. There's a few other new things, I guess. We can go visit, Ilias. There's a couple new buildings over there. And I believe Sailing Guard has a couple of new things, too, that we can go take a look at. Not at all because I'm procrastinating about the chores that I said that we would do at the beginning of the stream. Definitely not doing that. Not me. Nope. I'm a responsible boy. I do all my chores first, and then I play later, obviously. But just for fun, let's go over here. So this is Salem Port, kind of on the shores of the Orongavoy River. This is a really big river, by the way. Probably the biggest river that I've made so far. Let's see if I can get it all into render distance. Don't think I can. Oh? Oh, just barely. But you can see, yeah, it's a really big river. The other side is like way over here. There you go. You can see the other side. You can just barely see this side if we cut through. So, big river. But Salem Port is they're right on the bank of a big salt lake. And so they collect salt in these little carts and then send it down the river in barges. This is the big salt lake. And yeah, I thought we'd take a look at some of these buildings because I don't know if I've shown them on stream. But Bart and I believe Richard's added a couple here and there. I don't know if anyone else has, but it's mostly Bart. There's just lots of these little buildings. Saltfish soup, I like it. And I like the design that she's gone with these very... they're built out of the same material as like the salt crust that you find on the ground. And it really kind of drives home that this is like a, you know, a community that lives on a salt lake. Living in a, you know, a highly salty environment like this, I imagine is probably pretty tough. Because obviously this water would not be drinkable, right? Too much salt. And because it's got so much salt, there are probably not a lot of animals that live in it. You know, there are a few species of like fish and stuff that can survive in very salty water. But, I mean, even then, right? If you're eating a fish that comes out of, you know, what is essentially brine, that fish is going to also be extremely salty, and too much salt can be a big issue health-wise and stuff. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting to see how this is coming together. This is the city of Sailing Guard. Technically, that was also a little bit. Sailing Guard is kind of spread out over the salt flats. But yeah, I really like this these building designs with the calcite and the I think this is light gray terracotta. Oh, it's white terracotta. And then the exposed copper roofs and stuff. I like that everything is kind of, or not everything, but a lot of it's kind of lifted up off the ground. Yeah, just kind of fun. We've got some a little watchtower out here, and then this is kind of the big feature of the Salt Lake. There's a really big, deep hole in the middle of it, and I think the story here is that there's got to be something spooky living down here, big sea monster or something. Cause like, yeah, no, there's got to be something, like a big fish or a big lobster or something that lives underwater here, and that the people of Sailing Guard kind of pay tribute to, so that it doesn't wash away their homes or something. I don't know, but I think that's like could be a fun story. The water's a little glitchy here, but yeah, quite a deep hole, that's for sure. But yeah, I think it would be such a cool thing to... Can you imagine, like, standing on the edge of this little salt flat, the big deep hole? You can't even really see the other side. You can see the water just gets darker and darker, and then just drops off suddenly as we get into the world a little bit. Look at that. Just drops off into the abyss. That is just... It's wholly terrifying. I have a little bit of a fear of deep water, I think. That surfaces anytime I play a game that has deep water. Like, I watched someone stream Subnautica, and that gave me chills, so... But, yeah, Sailing Port and Sailing Guard are looking pretty good. Also impressive that, almost all these buildings have been put in place by one single person. Bart is a prodigious builder, that's for sure. Let's see. We can go to... Oh, this is new too. We can go over here. So, I think I've shown you this before. This is Nator. This is in the Ilian Valley, a little bit east of Ilias. This town is currently inhabited by zombies and run by a necromancer named Gore. Fun fact, we have a running D&D game, 5th edition and everything, that I play with some of the people who build on this server. And on Saturday we had our big boss fight session where they killed Gore. They defeated him. So that was very cool. Really fun moment. But one of the things I've done recently, which it's hard to show, but I've actually added in all of these trees. So prior to this, this landscape was pretty much just like grass and dirt and stuff. And over the past couple of days, I've been working... These are all schematic trees from our collection of schematics. And I've just been slowly bringing them in a few at a time. and yeah, adding them in to create kind of a pine forest up here. I'm really fond of this little stretch right here. It's like a nice view. I like the podzol in the dirt and stuff. It's also got these are nightheart trees. They've got a fungus infection, so they're normally kind of orange leafed, and they just look like kind of like fiery maple trees kind of in the fall. But these ones have been infected with some sort of fungus that turns them purple, makes them kind of creepy. You can see those cropping up around. We've also got these trees. These are the death cap mushrooms that I showed you in the schematic world earlier. Puffer built those. And yeah, I've just been adding in trees to kind of fill in this this area, and it's looking really good. This area didn't have trees a week ago, and now it does. Working on the road to some of the infill. I added some of these little mushrooms and stuff. Kind of fleshy looking mushrooms and some skulls laying on the ground. This place is like very undead. There's like I described for the D&D stuff, I described there being like fungus shaped like hands and feet sticking out of the ground, and if they got too close to them, they would try to grab onto them. So trying to bring some of that, you know, kind of body horror stuff into the landscape. I don't know why that doesn't sound like a good thing, but you know, it's fun. And then Richard and Puffer have been working on this. This is the city of Shadowcrag. This is another sort of I don't want to call it an evil town, but it's run by an evil sorceress, so it's at best an evil adjacent town, I guess. But yeah, I think they use zombies as kind of slave labor in this town. It's got kind of a really interesting vibe to it. Big castle. Lots of these big wheels. I like the big wheels. Big gears. Richard has put together a lot of these buildings. Some of them were Puffer, though, and I don't exactly know which ones are which, but yeah, I like these with the little canals and the bridges and stuff. I think there's plans to put a big tree up here somewhere. Maybe back here, or maybe... That's interesting, there's a little path. Not sure. But I think it'll be excellent when it's finished, so that's looking really good. And the last thing I want to take a look at is over here. We've got a lake. And then Puffer has started building like a mine, maybe, up here. You see there's some emerald ore and whatnot. So I'm interested to see how that works. I think the idea is that they ship the unprocessed ore down this little river into Shadowcrag, and then it gets processed maybe in this building. Not 100% sure, but those are the rumors I've been hearing. Yeah. Alright, well, it's been about an hour of streaming, and I haven't actually accomplished anything, so I figure now is probably a good time to start accomplishing some stuff. So, if you have never created a schematic before in your life, or if you haven't done it in a while, I guess, this might be a great opportunity to learn how to do that. Because schematics are a really useful tool, and I feel like they're deceptively difficult to work with sometimes. I feel like there's a lot of, not misinformation, but like a lack of like good tutorials, I guess, that break down how schematics work. And I don't claim that I'm going to be able to do any better, but I don't know. I mean, you know, at least maybe it's something that that can aid you in the future if you do decide, or maybe it's something that you can use to be like, oh, hey, you know, I really like that. That's a cool idea. Maybe I should start using schematics, you know, something like that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go find the single player world with all of the flower schematics. Cool. So this is literally just a world. You can see it's a flat world, and then they've they put all the schematics in here in little squares. And what we need to do, we'll also spend a little bit of time looking at some of these because these are beautiful. But what we need to do with these is separate them out so that each, right now all of these are one gigantic schematic, and what we need to do is break them up so that each individual plant is its own schematic that we can then use. So I've already done these. So I did those two, I did these two, these ones, and these ones. And then I did one of the big flowers out there somewhere. So I figure we'll work on... This is not going to get done today. This is going to take probably several weeks of work just because it is a lengthy process. But I think the results are going to be worth it. So I thought we'd also take a look at some of these. Some really cool plant designs. And again, for anyone who has joined the stream who didn't get the initial blurb, these schematics are all built by Rebirth Builds, who is the sponsor for this stream and the sponsor of my heart right now, because these are gorgeous. You can actually download this entire pack of flowers and mushrooms. There are over 500 of them, and you can download them and use the schematics yourself, place them in your world and all that. There is a link in the stream description, at least on the YouTube side, and I highly recommend this is something that looks interesting, something you'd like to use if you build maps, or if you want to start learning how to build maps. This is a great place to start. These are very high quality. I cannot express how well built these are, and they're really nice. They're really nice guys, and I'm very, very thankful to the team at Rebirth Builds for working with us, partnering here, because I think that I think we're going to be able to do some amazing stuff with this. But yeah, we've got these some different variations of flowers, lots of different colors. Got tulips. I think these are like allium. And I like that they offer these in different sizes too. So we have like the little ones, and then slightly bigger, and then we have the the really big ones. Having different size options is really nice. Makes it a lot easier to find the right size that fits in with the build you're doing. These are also really beautiful. I forget what these are called. And the name escapes me, but I used to know something about plants. These are also cool. I think these are kind of like Lily of the Valley, maybe. But they've got like these little bell-shaped flowers that hang down. I think for these, I might actually... should probably... Let's do this. I think I might actually add, like... I don't know, maybe like a player head or something, just to be kind of... What do they call that thing in the middle of the flowers? Like a stamen, I guess? Maybe something like that. Maybe just a player head of some sort, like a yellow player head. I'm not sure. I mean, it's not really something I need to worry about right now, but yeah, it was just something I was thinking about. I've also got some other colors of this. I like this light blue. I especially like it because it uses diamond blocks, which I think this is one of the better uses of diamond blocks I've seen. We use them for like planning, but this is like, yeah, these are really cool. Although it does mean that I'll have to be careful about using commands with diamond blocks if these flowers are around. More flowers. Flowers on sticks. Stick flowers. Flowers on the ground. Ground flowers. I believe maybe this one is the one that I used in the in Hexland. It looks similar, although I think it was a different one. So, I don't know. We've also got gigantic pots you can put your giant flowers in. We've got giant grasses. We have giant lily pads. I really like the lily pad flowers here. The lotus flowers these are so pretty. Lots of cool techniques with trapdoors and stained glass panes and stuff. We got cattails. These are the biggest cattails that I've ever seen. I have no idea where we're going to use them, but it's going to be awesome. We also have garden gnomes. for people who like garden gnomes. These are surprisingly detailed for garden gnomes. Very cute. These guys, I don't know what these are. I'm not even sure if half these plants are like real plants or not. I don't know enough about plants. This probably isn't. So I don't feel like there are plants with like cool see-through leaves. Maybe there are. These are probably my favorite out of all of the schematics. They are very, very realistic. If you look at them from this angle, you can see that the leaf has this kind of V shape like this, with the kind of the stem piece in the middle. And that's exactly how leaves work. And the fact that it's not connected exactly at the back, but a little bit underneath. So you end up with this little like leaf shape that sits on top. It's just the shape of it with the curves is really, really clean. That's a really good one. There's also a lot of really strange plants. Like, look at these guys. I don't know what these are, but they're cool. They got like these hanging lantern flowers on them. I can see this being very interesting. You could place these. You could almost build little houses inside them almost. That'd be kind of fun. Got these guys that have like little torch-shaped bits and bobs. These actually have torch flowers on them and everything. This, which somehow manages to make the magenta glazed terracotta blocks not look quite so horrible. Like, I don't know. It's not a great block, but I feel like in this context, it actually kind of works. From a distance, it almost looks kind of scaly, kind of like a pink scaly texture. Interesting. Oh, this one. We got these that have these big droopy hanging flowers. These are really cool. I think the small version of this is what I used in Hexland. Yeah. Or not this one, but it was this one. This is the one I used. You can see they've got bigger versions that start to droop and dangle. Look at this guy. Look at that. That is unbelievably cool. We got some, I think these might be maybe chrysanthemums or something like that. I like the flowers are like angled too. Because it's one thing to build flowers that are kind of, flat on the block plane. But building them at angles like this, and so organically, is really challenging to do. I have definitely struggled with it, so it's cool to see to see how it's done. I feel like I'm learning stuff just by looking at these. Got some mushrooms. These guys are cute. I like how round the mushroom caps are on these red and brown ones, and they're kind of hollow underneath. You could maybe put buildings in these as well. You could definitely hollow out the stems and have like little mushroom houses. Maybe kind of Smurf style. These look like they could be Smurf houses. Thankfully, they do use some coral blocks, but we have a plugin that makes the coral blocks not die, so they'll be okay. These are big mushrooms with like thin stems. The gradient on these yellow ones is really great with the gold to the bamboo to sand or birch and then sandstone. It's like a really smooth transition with a lot of weird blocks that you really wouldn't think would fit together very well, Like, I don't know if I'd ever think to build something with like honeycomb into gold, into bamboo, into spruce, into sandstone. That's such a weird transition, but it works. These guys have kind of a flatter cap. These things are kind of terrifying, if I'm being honest. It's still really cool. You got these little cup-shaped ones. I forget what these are called. I've seen these in real life, though. They look like, these orange ones sometimes look like orange peels that are just lying on the ground in the forest. And then you bend down to look at them closer and you're like, oh, that's a mushroom. You have these really big flat ones. You got these guys with the really kind of wiggly stems. Really great shape for the... Like, it's a three-dimensional curve, too. I love that. This bright blue is really nice, too. Here's some little mushrooms for when you don't need really big mushrooms. Got some of these mushrooms. I don't know what to say about them, but I do like the colors a lot. These guys that have a wiggly stem and a small cap. You got the ones that have the cup that are on a stem. These guys have glass around them, which gives them this kind of lattice texture. There is a kind of mushroom, I forget what they're called, but they have like this, it looks almost like lace. They've got like a lace that sits over the head of the mushroom. Cannot for the life of me remember what they're called, but this kind of reminds me of that. I'm not sure if that was the intent or if they were just meant to be, if they just like the glass color or something. I'm not sure. But that's kind of what it looks like to me. Got some of these guys. Some more kind of rounder mushrooms. These are a little bit more simple colors. If you don't want the really crazy colored mushrooms. And then you have the really crazy mushrooms. These things are like, I don't know. Look at this shape though. And the gradients are really good. These are really beautiful. These guys are cool too. I like that these have like a kind of a radial pattern on the top with the glass. More little pointy boys. These guys with the really curly stems. I could definitely see these big mushrooms. I feel like you could very easily put like a building, and this could be like the little staircase up to the building. You got these guys that are kind of flat. I think these are maybe intended to go against like a wall or a cliff, because they are very two-dimensional, and I have to believe that it seems like an intentional choice rather than just, you know, just the way they were built. But yeah, that's all the different schematics. There are a lot of them, over 500. They are unbelievably beautiful, extremely well built, and yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about this stuff. So if it looks like something that's interesting, if you're interested in building maps but don't want to build all these kinds of schematics for yourself, this is a good opportunity. Yeah. Anyway, I figure we'll start converting some schematics. I'm not going to worry about the pots for now, because I don't know where I'm going to use giant pots right now. Inevitably, I'm sure we'll find a space, but I'd rather focus on the schematics that are things I'm going to be using, I guess, you know, frequently. Okay. So, schematics. The best way to do it is probably to start with the grid that they give you. So you can see that this is already broken up into little squares. That's generally a good way to do it. It doesn't matter if there's a lot of extra air in your schematic. Not a big deal. So the first thing we want to do, I should do this the right way. We're going to place a block in the corner. Now, essentially, there are a few steps when it comes to making schematics out of builds. Step number one is you need to create a selection that includes the object you're trying to turn into a schematic. Keep in mind that anything that is inside your selection is going to become part of the schematic. So, for instance, if I were to not put this block down and I were just to click on the ground to set the first position to this point right here, what would happen is the ground, this layer of this looks like concrete powder. Yeah. This layer of concrete powder would be included in my schematic, and every time I pasted it down to place this plant, it would come with a square of concrete powder, which we don't want, right? We don't want any extra blocks. The ideal case is that we're able to just, you know, paste the schematic in and just be done with it, that it's good to go. So because of that, we're going to place the block here. We're going to select it as the first position, and then delete the block. So now we're only collecting the air on top of this this gray concrete powder. We can go to the opposite end over here. We need to define the other corner of the cube. So I'm going to place 2 alignment blocks and then kind of walk into this corner. This makes sure that I'm solidly on top of this square right here. Not a super important detail, but something I tend to do. We can delete these, and then we're just going to fly up until we're above the highest point of the schematic. So that's going to be this block here. So I can tell that we're higher than that. We use //pause2. So this sets the second position of our selection to my feet. Because my feet are up in this top corner, it means that our selection now includes the entirety of this little leafy plant, but it does not include any of this concrete. So you can see that if we've got a selection, if we do / cut, what we should see happen is the plant should disappear, having been cut. But the gray concrete should not disappear because we hopefully have not included in the schematic. So let's see. Yep, perfect. So that gets rid of the plant, but it does not get rid of the ground cover. So that means that the only thing that we've selected inside our cube of selecting is the plant. That's what we want. Okay. So the next step, now that we have our selection, which I can actually show you what the selection looks like. So this is the area that we've selected. So from that corner all the way up to this corner, you can see that includes this plant. And we don't really care about the extra air because the extra air we can get rid of when we place the schematic. We can say, place the schematic, but don't place any of the air blocks. I just want the ones that are not air. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go find the position that I want the schematic to be copied from. So what this means is that if I stand here and I make a schematic from here, that means that when I place the schematic down later, it'll always place itself however many blocks away from the front of my feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So if I were to stand here and make a schematic, that means every time I paste it, I have to make sure that I'm standing 11 blocks. Let's see, what am I? I'm north. So I have to stand 11 blocks south of where I want the schematic to show up. That's a lot of work, and that's a lot of thinking, and it just seems unnecessary. So instead, I'm going to make sure that I stand right next to the stem of this plant. Ideally, it might even be good for me to stand inside the stem of the plant. For some of these big flat ones, I might use spectator mode so I can be inside the plant. Because where my feet are is where this schematic is going to get pasted. So if I'm standing next to the stem, then that means I can just stand wherever I want the stem of the plant to be, and when I paste it, it'll go where I want it to go. So we're going to say / copy, now that we've already made our selection. This is going to copy everything inside our selection. You could say that it's 6,578 blocks, apparently. And then we are going to save that copy, which is now on our clipboard, as a schematic. So we'll say / schem. We can use schematic, although schem is shorthand. You don't have to have the attic part. We're going to say save, because we'd like to save a schematic. And we'd like to name this schematic something. And that's a good question. What should we name this? These are kind of blue plants. I'm trying to think of names that are unique enough that I can identify what the plant is by the name alone, but also not complicated enough that it causes issues for people who want to use the schematics. So maybe we'll just call this a teal leaf. I feel like that's a good name. It does a good job of describing what it is, but it's also not hard to remember. So we'll say / schem, save. We'll call this teal leaf. And because these come in various sizes, I'm going to use a size category. So I'm going to say this is teal leaf small. And actually, I might make teal leaf all one word. So this is my naming convention for schematics. I try to do the name of whatever the schematic is. So like the species of tree, or if it's a rock, then it's called rock. The size category, I've got small, medium, large, and huge. And then just a number, right, to the note, because we're going to have, we could potentially have multiple of these. There could be multiple small teal leaf plants. In this case, we won't have multiple because this is the only schematic of its type. But I think to keep with the theming of it all, it's good to include the number. And there it is. It is saved. So now, kind of a fun fact. If I want to use the schematic, I can load it up. I can say / schem load. Now, what if I don't remember the name that I've called this? Obviously, I've called this teal leaf small one, but, obviously I'm not going to remember the name of every single schematic. How do I find a list of the schematics that I have? So we can use schem, and instead of load, we can do list. And that's going to pull up a list of all the schematics that we have connected to this world. So you can see I've added the different monsteras. I've added the little Jirala thing. And down here at the bottom, we can see, oh look, teal leaf small 1. Cool. So now I remember what it's called. / skim load teal leaf small 1. So now I'm going to load this schematic into my clipboard. You can see it says it's loaded, paste it with / paste. I'm also, when I paste it, I'm also going to add the -A tag to that. The -A means that it's going to paste it, but it's not going to paste any of the air. Because if it pastes the air, you're going to end up with a cube. It's going to cut away anything that was part of the cube that you selected. We don't want that. We just want the plant part of it. And when we paste it, it should be right behind us. Yes. Perfect. We can check it and make sure that all the parts are there, that we didn't miss any bits of it. The other thing that I've had to check with these schematics is that a couple of them contain some gravity blocks, like concrete powder. And for our world, we don't have updates suppressed or anything, so it's better for us to not have gravity blocks in our schematics. So if there are any gravity blocks, I'll be taking some time to make sure that we just replace those with non-gravity blocks or find a way to support them. But this looks pretty good. Going back and looking at the original schematic, yeah, these are pretty much the same. That's good. That means I didn't miss any pieces. We can go ahead and undo that paste. So now we've saved a single schematic. And we're basically just going to continue doing that with the rest of these. A few things to keep in mind. We always place this block in this corner and click on it with our selection tool to set as the first position. We want to make sure that we break this block afterwards, because if we forget to break it, what will happen is this will become part of the schematic, and you're going to have weird blocks in your terrain that look weird. And you have to either remove them by hand or just live with them being there. A lot of people will use glass blocks for this. I would remove them if you're able to, because it just makes things easier. It's one less thing for you to worry about. So we'll set our second position here. Now that we've got our selection made, we want to go and stand where we want this to get placed, which in this case is directly underneath the stem. We're going to copy. We're going to schematic, save. This is not a teal leaf, though. This is a different... It's the same shape, but these are not teal. These are green. So maybe we'll call these green leaves. I have no idea if these have official names, but I didn't see any, so I'm making it up as I go. Green leaf, small, 1. Perfect. Just as with the other one, we can fly over here. We can say skim list. Yep, green leaf, small 1 is there. These are alphabetical order, by the way. Green leaf, small 1. And we can paste it in. It pasted where we wanted it to, and it has all of its parts. Yep. Which means, and nothing has fallen. That's the reason why I try to paste these in when I'm done copying them, just in case there's gravity blocks like on the underside that I didn't see. Pasting it in will cause those to fall, which is good because it tells me just whether there are gravity blocks. Cool, so that's another one. I'm hoping that all of these schematics are confined within their little squares, which it does look like is the case. But you do want to be careful and double check that the schematic you're trying to copy, you've got all of it inside the selection. So this one, I'm pretty sure that I'm above the top. So I can set position 2. I typically try to look for kind of the center of the schematic. So the center, but standing next to something that touches the ground. So for these, I could have stood right on any side of this stem. I could have stood over here. But since this whole thing leans to the right, I feel like the best place to stand is here in the direction of the lean. For this one leans, you can see if we look at it from above, it leans this direction and kind of this direction, which puts the center probably on this side. So this is probably the best place to copy it from. We will skim, save. This is a teal leaf, but this is medium, I would say. This is the first medium teal leaf schematic that we've made. Let's go ahead and paste it over here and make sure. Okay. And that pasted, yeah, exactly how it should. Great. Let's keep going. Oh, the other thing I wanted to do while I'm here, I almost forgot. So I want to label these with a sign that has the name that I'm using for the schematic so that I can remember what all these are and make sure that I'm doing it right. Let's go ahead and edit this. Let's see here. Okay, so this is going to be teal, oops, teal leaf, small, 1. That way I can come back to this world if I ever forget what I've called one of them, and that'll make it a lot easier. Let's say, why is it saving a replay? Okay, here we go. This is a green leaf, small, 1. And put the 1 down here. Doesn't matter too much, just as long as I remember what these are called. This one is a teal leaf medium. Medium 1. And this next one will be a green leaf medium 1. Oh, there we go. Green leaf medium 1. And then we can select this one. The other thing is I'm making sure I'm putting the signs outside of the selection, so I'm only selecting inside here, but not including the signs, because we don't want to paste the signs. Also a common mistake. Align myself with the corner. Set my second position. Just as with the other one, I think this is the best place to copy it from. And then we'll say stem, save, green leaf, medium 1. Awesome. And then just as before, we'll go make sure that it's the right one. Yep, that is pasted in with no gravity blocks. Includes all the bits and bobs. Perfect. Okay, so this is teal leaf large 1. And this one should be green leaf large 1. Great. But yeah, you can see this is it's a bit of a lengthy process. It takes a little bit of time. But it is, I don't know, it's kind of, I find it fun. I think it's cool, but I think a lot of what I find cool about it is just thinking about what I'm going to do with the schematics when I'm done with them. Like, oh man, this is going to go so great in this location, sort of thing. So, you know, this is teal leaf large 1. But it is necessary, all these steps, to go through all this to make sure that we've got good schematics, because we're going to be using these a lot. You know, and even the ones that we don't use a lot, it's important that we're very organized about how we set these up so that it's easy for, you know, for the other builders on the server, easy to find stuff if we get really busy and we can't do Minecraft for a month or 2 months even. It's hard sometimes to come back after a time, you know, that you haven't been doing this sort of thing every single day, and to remember where you were when you left off. So it's having good organization, creating, you know, intuitive tools is an important step in making sure that we can get back on track as quickly as possible, I guess. that one pasted. Pretty good. This one does have 2 stems, although this one is a smaller stem, so I stood next to the big one. I think that'll be fine. Just got to be aware of that. Maybe the case that we need to kind of come through and edit a few of these, you know, once they're in game. So, like, if the secondary stem doesn't touch the ground, we just extend it downwards until it does. Alright. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. This is honestly a lot of this is a lot of what building a really big world is like. There's a lot of this kind of clunky, slow, not really fun to do busy work, but it's necessary. Doing this now saves me so much time in the future, and I found that out the hard way. You know, when I started making these schematics for projects and stuff, I didn't think very much about naming conventions. I just named them, you know, whatever felt good, and said, you know, I'll figure out an organization system later. That is a bad idea. Don't do that. Don't make my mistakes, because yeah, it's just having to go back in and fix it later is so much harder than doing it right the first time. Which, if my mother watches this stream, she is going to be very pleased to hear that I have managed to take her wisdom and actually apply it in the real world, even though I was kind of a butthead child, and you know, no one wants to think that their parents are right about stuff, but it turns out a lot of the time they really are. They know more than we do sometimes. Okay, this is huge. And this one is also huge. Oh, this is not a teal leaf, this is a green leaf. I think that's also one of the things that makes this whole thing a little bit challenging for me too, is that this isn't something I can really zone out and do. Like, I can't, like, watch Netflix in the background while I'm doing this stuff. I can have a conversation, you know, like I'm doing now, but it does require a bit of concentration to make sure that I'm doing the names right, that I'm paying attention to the selections and making sure that the selections are the correct selections, that I'm naming things correctly, that I'm using the right, you know, the right numbers and the right modifiers and stuff. I'm spelling everything correctly. If I misspell one of these names, it makes it so difficult to find it again. So, yeah, it's definitely a iterative process. Something that it's taken a while, but we're getting there. Okay, we got all of it there. That's looking good. The signs also help me identify which ones I've already done, because that is also going to become probably a little bit of an issue. Just there's so many of these, it's going to be hard for me to remember which ones I've turned into schematics and which ones I have not had a chance to do so yet. Let's go here. Stem, save, green leaf, huge one. Okay, stem, load, green leaf, huge one. Oh, did the underscore wrong? This one looks good. Alright, we did all those. That's 8 schematics down, like 480 something to go. I guess we'll just start with the next row. What should we call these? I think these are intended to be grasses, like grass clumps. These are obviously much larger than actual grass. I'm not sure. Maybe we call this, like, dead grass. dead grass small 1. And this will be just grass, I guess. Let's see, this one is going to be dead grass medium. Starting to not be able to fit things on the signs, but it's alright. Large 1 and dead grass huge 1. Nice. And these will follow the same naming convention, but just with the word grass. Grass medium 1, grass large 1, and grass huge 1. And it may seem right now like, you know, do you really need to include the 1? Like, you only have 1 of each of these, so, you know, is it really necessary? But I do think that at some point, some of these schematics may be things that we end up building more copies of, just so we can have a little bit of variation. And at that point, it'll be good to have the 1, because then we can do 2, 3, 4, whatever. So there is a method to my madness, I promise. This is really important. The saving part where we want to make sure we spell everything correctly. We can change the names later, but it's better just to get it right the first time. You can notice also that we stood in the middle of that little clump of grass. You can see the grass is all around us. Looks good. Ah, okay. So we've run into our first thing. So this did include some gravity blocks, which I didn't notice, which is why we do this. Ah, you can see, so looks like there's dead grass under here. Yeah, I can see there's some concrete powder. Okay. So what we got to do here, just because on some creative projects and stuff, people will have like plugins that prevent block updates and stuff. But for us, we don't have that. So we need to replace the concrete powder with something that won't fall when we place the schematic. In this case, I think brown wool is probably works. Yeah, that's pretty close in color. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Okay, cool. So we're going to grab a tool. I guess it's going to be a wooden hoe. We're going to do a brush. We're going to do a sphere. We are going to do brown wool. Radius 15. Actually, I think the radius can only be like 5 in this world. Maybe it could be 10. No, it's only 6. I'm going to have to change that. Okay, so we've got a radius 6 brush. We're going to mask. So this is what we're affecting with the brush. And we want to affect brown concrete powder. Okay, and now we can just turn all this concrete powder into wool. Just like that. And now we don't have that issue with the gravity blocks. And we're going to go through and we'll change all of these real quick. This does mean that we need to remake the schematic. So that'll be something I'll also show you how to do. But yeah, the concrete powder just makes this more challenging than it needs to be for the kind of work that we're doing, right? Obviously, for some people, gravity blocks are not an issue. So, you know, you might not have to worry about this depending on what kind of stuff you're doing. You know, if you're doing, like one-off builds, you know, like a single, you know, like a little plot of land. Like if you're working with a plot, it's like 100 by 100 blocks or something. You might not need to worry about it because you can, you know, it's kind of a still life. But we're building more of a living country, and because of that, gravity is definitely something we do need to take into account. Okay, so we're gonna do same thing. We're gonna grab that corner. We're gonna fly up and grab the top here. We're going to stand in the middle of this. Copy. So, how do we reset a schematic? How do we make a new one? We could just make a new schematic with a different name, and then just not use the other one. But that's kind of wasteful, and plus it kind of messes with our naming convention. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to say skim save. We'll call this dead grass small 1 underscore. And then we're going to put the -f tag. So if we don't put the -f tag, what happens when we try to do this, it says that schematic already exists. But we can use the -f flag to overwrite it. So we'll use the same command. We add -f to the end. So doing this is going to rewrite. This is going to save this schematic in place of the other one. So the other one no longer exists. So you want to make sure that you're very careful when you do this, so that you don't get rid of a schematic. So you get rid of the right schematic and replace it with the right schematic. And because once they're gone, they're kind of gone. You have to make a new one. So be careful with this flag, but it is very useful. Okay, let's go check it and see if we did it correctly. So we'll say skim load dead grass small 1. We don't need to use the F flag because that was just for saving it. So we can just load it this way. We can paste it in. And now, this schematic no longer includes concrete powder, and it no longer has gravity blocks, which means that when we undo this, no more blocks sitting on the ground. Perfect. It's curious. I actually want to check this. This does not appear to have any concrete powder. The way I found out about that, by the way, is that these schematics have some concrete powder, like right here. And what was happening is this was happening. They were all falling apart. It was a problem. I actually don't know how I can get those back up there. With we've already got the schematic saved. It'll be okay. But yeah, the gravity makes it a little bit challenging sometimes. Okay, I believe this is our next one. This would be dead grass medium. Pause 2. We're going to stand in the middle. This looks like the middle. It's not super important that you stand in the exact middle. Medium 1. Oh, and I spelled medium wrong. Dead grass medium 1. Yes, that's good. Let's go over here. Medium 1. Perfect. And just as before, because we've replaced the concrete powder with the wool, no longer has gravity, and nothing falls. Okay, we're getting there. One schematic at a time. Alright. Oh, this one's pretty tall. This one, that kind of looks like the middle right here. Dead grass, large one. Very nice. Let's see. This one pasted correctly. It did. Kind of curious. I'm not sure exactly what we'll use the dead grass for. Or the regular grass, to be honest. I'm not sure. Maybe there's a chance that we might use it, we might just use it, you know, out in the wilds. That's a possibility. But because of the scale, it's so big, we might have to use it. We might have to have an area that's, like, kind of dedicated to, like, you know, the land of giant flowers, maybe. Maybe it's just where giants live. You know, maybe everything's just bigger. We could build, like, giant 100-block tall houses. Like Jack and the Beanstalk. That could be kind of fun. These are the huge variants. Let's go over here. How does that look? Looking fine. Looking mighty fine. Okay, so that's all the dead grass ones. Let's do the live grass ones. I'm actually gonna get rid of them. I don't know why that's such a big deal for me, but it's been annoying me, so let's do it like this. Okay, pause 2. Go stand somewhere in the middle. We want to skim, save, grass, small 1. Ooh. Did we remember to break this? I'm gonna have to check that one. Because we do not want extra blocks. Okay. Let's load the grass one. Small 1. Oh, this one does have gravity blocks. Oh, I see they're up at the top. I didn't notice. Okay, so we will have to fix that. The other thing I want to check is the dead grass one to see if I included that block on accident. Dead grass, small 1. Oops. Yep. Look at that. So this is an example of me making a mistake. And I definitely did it on purpose in order to teach you guys something. And I certainly didn't just mess it up. That's, yeah, definitely not true. I don't know what you're talking about. So we're going to have to go fix that one again. So fixing it is thankfully pretty easy. Just make sure we delete the block. We could probably do it differently if we wanted, but this is... we're just going to go through the same process because it's simple. Remember that we have to use the F flag again. So we say copy, we say skim, save, dead grass, small 1, minus F. And that saves it over. No longer has that little guide block in the corner. Ah, okay, yeah, I didn't see the gravity blocks in this one. So we will have to replace those. I think I might replace those with moss, because moss has a very similar color and texture. So we'll say brush, sphere, moss, 6. And then we're going to mask green concrete powder. Go ahead and make sure that we replace all this. So we got it all. A very similar color, so I don't think we'll miss it too much. Just gotta make sure we get all of it. There's quite a bit of it in here. Uh-oh. Okay, we might have to fix those by hand. Pretty sure that went like that. That's good, that's good, that's good. Okay, I think that is all the concrete powder, hopefully. If we miss some, we're gonna find out, so. I think I got it all though. That's all moss, that's all moss. Yeah, okay. Cool. I'm glad we noticed that before we got too far. So we're going to have to grab this one again. Same thing. we are going to say pause 2. Stand down here. Copy. Skim, save, grass. Whoops. Can't spell the word save. Grass, small 1. Minus F. Perfect. And let's go double check it to make sure that we are actually doing smart things. Grass, small 1. No gravity? No gravity. No gravity. Hooray! Okay. Corner. Grab the opposite corner. I wish I had my on the main server I have a plugin that visualizes my selection, so I can kind of see what I've selected. I don't have it on this single player world, but I should probably add it because I think it would be very helpful. Copy. Skim, save. This is grass, medium 1. Kind of curious. I want to see if I can put it in one of these pots to see what it looks like. Look at that! That's really cute. Maybe we could use these pots places. I feel like these more decorated ones we could maybe use as like for like big potted plants in front of like a castle or something maybe. That's kind of cute though. I like that. Okay. No gravity blocks though, so we're good. Let's do the large one. Delete all that. Fly up here. Position 2. Now we've got our box. Copy. Skim, save. This is grass, large 1. Maybe we'll keep copying them into the pots, just because I'm kind of curious. Well, that's kind of cute. I like that. I think it'll look even better with like flowery plants. Also, a quick note, just to demonstrate what happens if we don't do the -A. If we say paste without the -A, you can see that it cuts off the rim of the pot because all that exists within the big square that we defined for where this goes. So that's why we always use the -A tag, so that we get the room of the pot, so it doesn't affect things that we don't want it to affect. Okay, let's grab this. Make sure we break that. Okay. This looks like the center of this, kind of down here maybe. You do always want to kind of make sure you're on the ground too, where your schematic touches the ground, because it's harder to place otherwise. Grass, huge 1. Let's go put it in a pot and see what happens. We can put it in this pot. Skim, load, grass, huge 1. Look at that. That's so cute. It's a great potted plant. Just way too big. I don't know where we're gonna be able to fit it, I think is the big issue. But it's kinda cute. Okay, but no gravity blocks, so it's all good. Let's see. I don't think we need lily pads right now. I mean, obviously all these schematics I'm gonna get added. But there are some that I plan on using sooner than others. So maybe let's copy a few of the ones that I do plan on using. In particular, I kind of wanted to get the rest of these guys since I've already copied this one. I might as well do the rest of the ones here. I don't remember what I called them. These were called... It's the Girala. That's a completely made-up name. That is not the name of the actual plant. I have no idea what the actual name of the plant is. I'm just making stuff up. I'm assuming this is Girala small one. Girala small one. Yep. Okay, so we don't need to copy that one, but this next one, we should. We should name it real quick so that we remember. Medium one. This is large one. Almost typed out the word one there for some reason. No idea why. My brain just goes places sometimes. Perfect. Okay, let's grab this medium one. I probably don't need to make a selection quite this big, but since it's pretty clear to me that they've designed these schematics so that they fit inside these squares. Just a convenient way of making sure I get all of it. For this one, I think because the stem is so thick, I think I might actually spectator mode inside of it. So we're gonna go inside and just kind of center ourselves a little bit. Maybe like here. Copy, schem, save, Girala, medium, 1. Perfect. See, I think this is the closer edge. Let's fly over here, paste it in, see if there's any gravity blocks we have to worry about. Oh, forgot that I put myself inside it. That looks good. I don't see anything that would be gravity affected. We'll see. If there is anything that's a gravity block that's unsupported, when I delete this, it'll fall. Nope, we're all good. Cool. Yeah, these are really cool plants. They're super weird. But weird is good. Weird is where I live, so... Excellent schematics. This is a really cool pack. Okay. Yeah, see, this is why I use it, because, like, look how close that gets. I definitely don't want to lose any pieces of this. Let's kind of spectator ourselves inside again. And if you are going to spectator inside things, you just want to make sure that you don't move up or down at all. You only move side to side to position yourself inside. That way your feet are always ground level. Large one. Fly over here. Wow. It's a massive, massive flower. It's beautiful though. Like, I personally never would have thought to use copper blocks and like mangrove in a flower. I don't know. Really, really smart block usage though. Really pretty. Okay. Stop drooling over the schematics and keep working. This is my favorite because it's got the droopy flower. Droopy flower is best flower. We love a droopy flower here, you know. Okay, this one is quite tall. Another one we need to kind of spectator mode inside. That seems pretty good. Probably a huge one. Perfecto. Wow, look at that. That is so cool. I wonder what it looks like at night. Ooh. Yeah, that provides quite a bit of light with the end rods there, too. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's neat. Oh. Let's make it light again. I'm kind of curious. I want to paste one of these over in a pot real quick. Just to see. Big pot. Big pot. Assuming we have to put the big plants in the big pot. Hey, look at that. That is cool. That is really cool. I like that. I don't know where I'd ever use something this big, but it's so cool. Maybe we'll have to find a place. I think we're building a giant country somewhere. Because we kind of gotta, right? To make these schematics really look their best. That is so cool. Oh man, I could play around with this all day. And I probably will at some point. But not today. That day is not today. Okay. Well, it's been about 2 hours. And I am getting a little bit hungry. So I think that I'm going to wrap the stream up there. Yeah. I hope that you... I'm not going to say that you enjoyed watching this stream, because I don't know if this was particularly exciting for anyone. But... maybe you learned something, and at the very least you got to see some beautiful, beautiful schematics. One last time, if you are interested in using some of these for yourself, this is a schematic pack that is available from the link in the description of this VOD and everything. And yeah, take a look, check out Rebirth Builds. These are all their creations, and they are phenomenal. Go check them out. Pick up a pack if you're thinking of doing some world building. I am definitely going to be doing more with these schematics. I think my big plan is to use them in conjunction with World Painter, because I am doing a World Painter kind of tutorial series, and I think this might be an excellent way to use the schematics. We could build an island specifically covered in giant plants and stuff. I think that would be really fun. But anyway... I will leave you guys with that, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, or evening, or morning, I guess, depending on where you live. And, yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Just have a nice day.